Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope you had a great day overall, man. I'm back at y'all, just tapping in with y'all to currently discuss what's going on with the boxing world, man. We're gonna talk about Canelo Alvarez immediately being ranked in the WBC after his Terrence Crawford loss. You know what I mean? This past Saturday, and exactly what that means and what my interpretation of the whole situation is. Now we're gonna get into a quote from Uisma Lima, who will be facing Jaron Ennis, in October. I believe it's October 11th. And him saying that Jaron Ennis made a huge mistake in fighting him. And then, of course, we're gonna get into some open boxing topics. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's in the building thus far. If y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way in, that'd be very much appreciated. We on the road to 4K. We well into the 3,100 mark. About to hit that 3,200 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. I already see some comments in the building. You know what I mean? I'm going to let a little bit more of these notifications get sent out before we start cooking. Shout out to the girl Smoochie in the building. Shout out to the girl Smoochie in the building with the first comment. What's going on? One of my biggest supporters. Shout out to Smoochie. Yasir Ali, what up? I'm chilling, bro. I can't complain at all. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I had to drop my son off this weekend because it's not my weekend. So it's going to be a long weekend without him. But regardless, I was happy that I spent the majority of the afternoon with him. You know what I mean? Went to the gym, got some good work in with one of my fighters as we're getting prepared for October 10th over at Pivot Boxing Academy, man. If y'all in the Philadelphia area and you want to check out the local talent that's coming up in Philadelphia in the tri-state area, please stop by Pivot Boxing Academy, man, 2807 North 6th Street, Philadelphia, PA 19133. And get your tickets, man. VIP tickets, general admission. There's not a bad seat in the house. You feel what I mean? So, yeah, man, shout out to everybody that's been hella supportive online and offline. Coffee Plan, what up? He said, who fight tomorrow? Oscar Collazo, from what I understand, the unified Puerto Rican champion of the world at 105. I think it's 105 pounds. Then we got Gabriela Fundora. And we also going to talk about the Floyd Schofield versus JoJo Diaz fight announcement that's going to be taking place on the Virgil Ortiz and Erickson Lubin undercard. We definitely going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about many more things, man. You feel what I mean? Shout out to the boy Carlos K in the building. He said they really made that ring for Canelo, the Ring Magazine belt also. I mean, the Ring Magazine belt. I don't know. You got to elaborate on that, Carlos. What you mean they really made that ring for Canelo? You talking about the ring that him and Crawford fought in? Is that what you're referring to? And I wouldn't say that they made the. Oh, you talking about the custom-made Ring Magazine belt? Yeah, they may have. I mean, I don't know, man. Turkey Al-Sheikh is kind of biased, so I'm sure he probably wanted Canelo to win, so he could put Hamza Shiraz in position to fight Canelo Alvarez. But them plans are definitely soiled as of right now, unless. You know what I mean? That's Canelo Alvarez's comeback fight. I'm not sure. They probably will make the fight regardless. But in terms of making the ring for Canelo Alvarez, it definitely didn't help, Carlos. I mean, if they did, if what you're saying is true, brother, it didn't work. You know what I mean? It backfired. Definitely didn't benefit him because Crawford was still using the whole ring. You know what I mean? It was just having his way. And whichever approach he took in the ring that night. You feel what I mean? Shout out to the boy Teach in the building. What up, Teach? What's going on? He says, Suleiman, I could feel the disappointment when handing Bud the belt and ring. Happy Cinco de Mayo. So you saying Mauricio Suleiman was upset that he had to, had to hand him the belt and the ring. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I mean, listen, man, Mauricio Suleiman, he has his bias. You know what I mean? I think it's safe to say at this point, all the things that he's done to make things better for Mexican fighters and, just being pro-Mexican. And I believe Mauricio Suleiman is Mexican himself. So, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily a surprise. Like if you're a Puerto Rican man, you're going to have your Puerto Rican biases. You know what I mean? If you're a Black American, most likely, you know what I mean? If you stand for your people, then you're going to be biased towards Black fighters and, Europeans going to be biased towards Europeans. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily a surprise at all. But the things that Mauricio Suleiman has done for Mexico, or Mexican fighters at least, he's definitely bent over backwards for, in a sense. Whether he raised clenbuterol levels or, you know what I mean, cleared PED, like Mexican PED users, and just back them for being innocent after their sort of like investigations that they've done and stuff like that. So yeah, man, I'm not necessarily surprised at all with this news, but what I mean, shout out to the 8 people that's in the building, man. Let's get the likes up. Let's get the likes up, man. Let me see. Hold on. Let me check where the likes is at right now, man. Hopefully we got 8 likes, man. Hopefully we got 8 likes. We only got 5. Come on, let's get the likes up before we continue this conversation, man. Don't cost you nothing to show some love. Shout out to the 9 people that's in the building. Carlos follows up and says, right, everyone is supposed to support their people. I agree. You know what I mean? I just find it funny that whenever black people do it, when black people do it, it's always, you know what I mean? Oh, you're biased. Like Mexicans can rock with Mexicans, the Irish can rock with the Irish, the Puerto Ricans can rock with the Puerto Ricans, and they never get any type of criticism. I only feel like black Americans get criticized for rooting for their own for some sort of strange reason. YSM Sports Media says he was undisputed, so he should be the number 1 contender. Well, that's definitely your opinion, brother. I don't think anybody should just automatically become a number 1 contender after coming off of a loss. You know what I mean? That's just me personally, but you know what I mean? That's just, you know what I mean? The WBC, they definitely going to put Canelo in position because, you know what I mean? Let's say Bud vacates the titles, relinquishes the titles, whatever the case is. You know what I mean? They're going to make sure that Canelo Alvarez fights for that vacant title. You know what I mean? Because they would rather him win the title than anybody else because they be making a percentage of these guys. They be taking percentages or flat rates, whatever they negotiate, of these guys' purses. And I'm sure they'll make more money off of Canelo than anybody else that's currently in the division. You know what I mean? 88 Sports Talk in the building. He was like, he said to keep us divided reform. I agree 1,000%. I agree 1,000%. He said the 168 division is so weak. That's why. I mean, that definitely plays a part, especially since like Benavidez, left the division. David Morrell left the division. A lot of those guys that we actually looked at in the division, they went on. Caleb Plant took a loss. You know what I mean? Against Resendiz. Resendiz isn't the biggest name, at this point in time. Demetrius Andrade inactive. So yeah, the division is definitely weak at this point in time. I agree with you. 168 definitely lost some, which I call it aura. Coffee Plant said, do you think they rematch? I mean, that's actually a good question, man. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's all about Canelo Alvarez's mentality. My thing is probably not. I think that it was such a dominant performance on Terrence Crawford's end. And, with Canelo being so transparent about, Terrence Crawford just being the better man and not really having any type of excuses. Like when he lost to Floyd, he said he was young. He wasn't really ready for that opportunity. With Dimitri Bivol, I think he alluded to not training properly and just being tired in the ring. But Terrence Crawford, he just completely admitted that he was outclassed. So this is a different type of scenario. And I think he even brought up the fact that he lost the step. Or like he just like his body wasn't responding and, things of that nature. And I think that this is the closing chapters for Canelo Alvarez. I think he's going to take the time to actually wrap it up. And prior to the fight, he said he only got like 2 years left in boxing. And based off of that performance, he might be considering it a little more soon than that. You feel what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's all about how Canelo Alvarez feels about it. If he want to go in and take an additional check before he walk out, you know what I mean? Or if he feels like he can make some adjustments in the fight to give himself a better opportunity, he could do that too. But I just think that Terrence Crawford's on a different level. He has more left in the tank than Canelo Alvarez. And I think that if they fight 10 times, I just think Terrence Crawford's in a position where he'll win the 10 times. You feel what I mean? That's just my personal opinion. Let me see. 88 Sports Talk follows up. He said they can make a lot of money with Canelo still. So why not? It's a smart business move. Is it right? No, but the money will always win. I mean, that's how the cookie crumble in boxing. So I definitely understand what you're saying. But like I said, I'm sure Terrence Crawford would take the rematch. You know what I mean? Just because Canelo gave him an opportunity in the first place, I'm sure he'll give Canelo one as well, similar to what he did, with Earl Spence. Even though there was a rematch clause in place, You know what I mean? The way he was approaching it was, Arrow gave me an opportunity, so why not give him one, or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? So I'm sure Terrence Crawford will do it. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the only fight he looks at 68 that makes sense for him. So from a business sense, so. Yeah, I think it all falls on Canelo. Like if Canelo really pushes for it, I'm sure he could get it. If not, then they could go their own ways. YSM says, "Do you believe champions deserve an immediate rematch?" Not all the time. I think that's by a case basis. Because let's say it's a situation where the champion was absolutely dominated, like Canelo Alvarez. I wouldn't necessarily want to see that. But if it was a competitive fight like Bivol Better Beef, yeah, let's run that shit back. So I'm not gonna have I'm not just gonna have a flat answer for that question. It all comes down to how the way that fight came about. You feel what I mean, or how that fight went. If a champion got absolutely dominated and they showed that there was levels between them and that a rematch will probably go in the same type of direction or it won't be competitive like the first one, then I wouldn't necessarily care to see a rematch. But if there's a situation where it could, like, there was a lot of back and forth and it was just a high level chess match and you can make a case for either guy winning, then yeah. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, Lamont Roach was a champion at 130. Gervonta Davis was a champion at 135. That was a controversial fight. Where, I wanted to see an immediate rematch. You know what I'm saying? That's what I wanted to see. It didn't happen that way. Gervonta Davis is doing other things, but that's what I would have preferred to see. Why? Because it was a competitive back and forth. And, you can make a strong case that Lamont Roach won, moving up in weight. So, Lamont Roach not a champion at 135, but he's a champion. He's a champion, like, in general. So why not give him another opportunity? Now, when we look at fights like Jermall Charlo versus Cornelius Bundridge, K9, right? Jermall Charlo absolutely dominated K9. It was such a dominant win that I wouldn't want to have seen K9 get a rematch with Jermall for what? I saw what I saw. It was like, why would I want to see that again? You feel what I mean? So that question, I don't think there's a definitive answer for that in my eyes. You know what I mean? I don't think every champion deserves an immediate rematch. You know what I mean? Some champions, they might have to bounce back, get back in the winning column, and then attempt to get their lick back, like with Cotto Margarito. Cotto didn't go for that immediate rematch after he got defeated by Antonio Margarito. He had to get his bearings back after he got dominated and stopped. He had to go, get back in the winning column. You know what I mean? And then once he got in the right, I guess when he got in the right space, he went on and he got that rematch. So I'm not saying that Canelo Alvarez doesn't deserve a rematch or whatever the case is. What I'm saying is that's not something, you know what I mean? I wouldn't necessarily trip if there's no rematch overall. You know what I mean? And in terms of Canelo Alvarez just losing and immediately becoming the number one guy, I don't necessarily agree with that, because even though 168 isn't the most popping division right now, there's other people that's waiting for their opportunities. You know what I mean? Within the WBC rankings, there's people that's waiting for an opportunity. And, David Benavidez was number one in the WBC for a long time when Canelo had the belt. And the WBC never pushed the issue to put him in position to fight for the belt or force Canelo to fight him. So, you know what I mean? I guarantee you that, they'll do it for Canelo, though. I guarantee you they do it for Canelo. They going to, let's say Bud actually sticks around with those titles. Eventually, the WBC going to mandate Bud to fight Canelo Alvarez. So. Who said anything? He said go to 160 and fight Virgil. I saw that, Carlos. I saw what Virgil said. He'll go to 160 to face Terrence Crawford, and that's just Virgil being a hungry, competitive fighter that he is. You know what I mean? But to be honest with you, Virgil Ortiz got problems that he needs to get together at 154 pounds before he starts talking about Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford's in a different space right now in comparison to all these other guys. You know what I mean? Terrence Crawford, he ain't got much time left in the game. Shit, he might retire after this. We don't know exactly what he got in place or what he got on his mind, You know what I mean? He might sit down with his team and feel like the retirement it needs to be taken now, or it needs to be done now. You know what I mean? He's in for the money fights. You know what I mean? He's in it for, he's doing things that's going to make a lot of sense, you know what I mean, financially. So I feel like the thing that he'll probably consider the most is like a Canelo Alvarez rematch. But like I said, it all comes down to how Canelo feels. If Canelo doesn't want it, then what more does Terrence Crawford have to do? Like, and if he does go to 160, why would he face Virgil? He could just face another champion and become a 6th division world champion, you know what I mean, and be up there with Oscar De La Hoya in terms of, weight classes. You know what I mean? So I respect Virgil Ortiz for, putting that out there and just showing his competitive drive and how, he wants the best competition. But to be honest with you, man, there's a lot of smoke at 154 that Virgil, he's been doing well at 54. He beat a Mazuma, he beat a Bohachuk, but there's still other monsters in the division that, you know what I mean, are looking for some smoke, and you need to attend to that. Now, if you watched 154 and you say you're willing to go up to 60 to face Crawford, I like that. You know what I mean? That I would really be a strong advocate for you fighting Bud if you did that. But you know what I mean? There's still a lot of questions in the 154 division in terms of who's the best. You know what I mean? Boots talking about his contract, he just signed with Matchroom that he's agreed and signed off on fighting you in early 2026. So, you know what I mean? You got some people that want to fight you, man. So, yeah. Speaking of the WBC, I actually seen that Jaron Ennis, after Bohachuk lost, because y'all remember, I think he was actually ranked number 1 in the WBC, and I think Bohachuk, filed a petition, and I think they actually granted him that. So they lowered Boots in the rankings, but then Bohachuk just lost to Brandon Adams, so Boots is now back in the number 1 position in the WBC. So Boots is definitely playing chess out here. You feel what I mean? But in terms of what I think about this whole situation with the WBC immediately making Canelo Alvarez number 1 and and the sanctioning body, it's not necessarily a surprise. You know what I mean? And I could understand it, to an extent, because it's like, Canelo Alvarez is the hottest commodity at 168 besides Terrence Crawford now. And you know what I mean? He's one of the people that the super middleweight, he's one of the people that's keeping the 168 division alive. Like I said, it's very, down in the dumps right now in terms of notable names in the weight class. And, the WBC may feel like because he was undisputed for so long or he's been holding down the division so long that he rightfully deserves that position. Me personally, though, like how I feel about the whole situation is, I feel like whenever somebody takes a loss, they need to drop in the position and then work their way back up regardless of their status. You know what I mean? I think that that's just what I personally think. Just like how when people lose and they drop a few positions, or they might lose a position or two in the pound for pound list, I feel like the same thing should go, in terms of these ranking systems. You know what I mean? Now, Canelo Alvarez would have been 2 or 3, and I was like, all right, it is what it is. But, Canelo Alvarez being a superstar that he is, I highly doubt that the WBC would ever do that. And I guess when you're a big name and you've proven yourself like Canelo Alvarez, you don't really got to do too much in terms of like getting back within like the championship, getting back in the mix in the championship level. You feel what I mean? So I understand it, but at the same time, there are other guys that have been waiting for an opportunity that haven't gotten an opportunity from Canelo, and Canelo's lost. So you think that now that puts you in position to possibly fight for a title, and the whole time, Canelo Alvarez is still ahead of you, even though he lost. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Who else could be number 1 right now? I mean, whoever was in the WBC rankings. You know what I mean? There's plenty of people that's been, waiting for an opportunity at super middleweight. But neither one of them are big names like Canelo Alvarez. So, you know what I mean? I can see why the WBC did that. And, they in it for the business just like everybody else. You know what I mean? Like look, Christian and Billy's a WBC interim champ and all that good stuff. I mean, Hamza Shiraz could be number 1. Hamza Shiraz could be number 1. Yeah, I mean, he could be like the mandatory challenger for Terrence Crawford's title. You know what I mean? But then again, Hamza Shiraz only got one fight at 168, and he defeated Edgar Berlanga. Whoop de fucking do. So, you know what I mean? It is what it is. I can see both viewpoints. Terrence Smith in the building. What up? Shout out to the 26 people that's in the building, man. Y'all hit the likes, man. Let's get to. We only got 16 likes. Let's get 26 likes. We got 26 people in here, man. Show love. Show love. Terrence Smith says if Bud is looking for legacy and money, I would try to get Jermall at 168. Meet Jermall at 160. Meet Jermall at 160. I'm sorry. Or meet any of the big names at 160 or go for the champions at 160 just to be a 6th division world champ. Shout out to the boy Terrence Smith. Yeah, I feel like that's something that Terrence Crawford would definitely consider because when he was having these conversations, he was saying that, you know, one of the things that he's big on is that once you move up in weight, you don't go back down. So, you know, he's completely disregarded 154. He's making it clear that he's not going back to the division. So I'm sure that just elevated the dude who just beat Yoenis Tellez. I forgot how to pronounce his name. But he just got elevated to the WBA full status champion, man. Yoenis fucked that money up, man. He fucked that money up bad. But you'll never see Terrence Crawford at 154 pounds again, just based off of his words. He even went as far as to say that going to 160 would be a stretch. So it's a, you know, he's saying it's a stretch, but he's not totally ruling it out. So what I think he'll personally do is at 168 try to either, you know, solidify a rematch with Canelo Alvarez or fight a champion at 160 pounds. Do you know how dope it'll be? And I don't know if he'll do this. If he were to face John Beck and become a unified champion at 160 after defeating Canelo Alvarez, it's just like that'll be absolutely sensational. But you know, even if he faced Carlos Adames, who he had that viral sparring session with, that'd be fire too. That'll be fire too. And then it's like after that, it's like, all right, but what else is there to do, bro? You know what I mean? Like, what else is there to do? It's like when you playing My Career on 2K, and you playing with the same character, and you winning the finals every season. Your boy got like 8 rings. You done got through 8 seasons, and you got 8 final MVPs. It's like, all right, bro. Like, what's the point of continuing to play this shit? It's like you at a dead end now. You know what I mean? Like, you've already done things that a lot of people, you know, doubt. You've been doubted many times. You prove people wrong many times. You at the top of the fucking mountain. Now what? Bella Face says, "Do y'all do understand how big the pot has to be for Bud to fight again?" I mean, that's what Turkey Al Sheikh is for. That's why Turkey Al Sheikh's there. You know what I mean? You know, Turkey. You know, he has his you know, favorites, and Bud happens to be one of them. So I'm sure. And look, he looked out for Bud so much. He was willing, even when he didn't even want to make the fight. He made William Skull versus Canelo Alvarez just so he could put Bud in position to fight for Undisputed. So, you know, he be out here doing Bud favors. So I'm sure he'll compensate Bud properly if he were to come back. If he were to return, he'll pay him exactly what he's looking for. That's, you know, when you a Riyadh season ambassador and stuff like that, you have them type benefits. Money's not a problem for Turkey. So the pot will definitely be big for him to come back. His stock is at an all-time high. I get it. But that's what, you know, Turkey, when it comes to Turkey Al Sheikh, I mean, that's why he the man right now in boxing, because money ain't really an issue for him. And that's what's gotten him to, you know, buy the Ring magazine and be one of the most influential people in boxing in a short amount of time because of the money that he brings to the table, who he's backed by. He's backed by trillionaires. You know what I mean? So definitely hear what you're saying, Bella, but I don't think that'll be an issue at all, just considering the people that he's dealing with. He's not dealing with Top Rank, you know, where Bob, oh, man, I could have built a house with the money that I lost on, but he don't have to deal with that anymore. You know what I mean? Terrence Smith said Canelo might as well stay away from their rematch. He didn't rematch Bivol, and Bud is a more superior boxer than him. Hey, man, they both great boxers in their own right. And, yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, if I'm Canelo, I'm not even doing a rematch. Unless, like, I'm wrapping up the career. One last effort, one last payday. And, you know, whatever outcome happens, happens, and then I go about my way. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, Terrence, I see what Terrence saying right here. He said, I'd rather see Bud fight Bivol if he can make it at 168 than Benavidez. Yeah, I don't really care to see neither one of them, man. Where I'm at with Bud right now is like fight a champion at 160, rematch Canelo or retire. That's where I'm at with it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I think going up to 168 was a huge challenge in itself. And Bud even said it like, man, I'm not fighting like these big boys, man. Like, I'm not fighting these 175 dudes. Like he fought Canelo Alvarez because he seen that Canelo, you know, was a blown up 68, to be honest. You know, experience in the division, I guess you could say acclimated to the division as well, but it was small super middleweight. You know what I mean? And them not having a huge size difference, he took that opportunity because he felt like he had a chance. These other guys, they boiling down for 200 pounds and they significantly bigger. And, you know, Bud understands. Bud understands what, you know, what's, you know, adequate for him and then what happens to be a little too much. You know what I mean? He knows his limits. He knows his limits. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, let's transition. Let's transition from this topic, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what Terrence does, by the way, y'all. Looking forward to seeing what Terrence Crawford does, by the way, in terms of what he does with his next move. But in terms of Canelo Alvarez being ranked in the WBC, I mean, being ranked number one in the WBC immediately after a loss, you know what I mean? I disagree with it, but at the same time, I understand. When you're taking into consideration the business of boxing, you know what I mean, and how these sanctioning bodies make their money and who they would rather make money with, you know, it makes all the sense in the world why Canelo will have a number one spot after being dominated in the fight not even 2 weeks ago. So it is what it is. It is what it is. 168 ain't the most hottest division in terms of notable names anyway. So let's see. Let's actually transition. I actually want to share the article right here for the people to see. You know, Jaron Ennis versus Uisma Lima is a fight that is coming up October 11th, from what I understand, man. So, you know, looking at the calendar, you got 1, 2, you literally got 3 weeks and 1 day. So 22 days, I believe, until Jaron Ennis will be stepping in the ring at the Wells Fargo Center against Uisma Lima. Uisma Lima being the IBO super welterweight champion of the world, man, a top 10 ranked 154-pounder in the world. You know what I mean? He's taking on a challenge. He's coming over to Philly. He's coming over to a hostile territory, and it don't get much more hostile than Philadelphia, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you're aware of Eagles fans and stuff like that, but, you know, we're very intense over here. You know what I mean? Very intense. So Uisma Lima, he's accustomed to being in people's backyards, but I don't think this is a backyard that he's ever been to for real. You know what I mean? You know, you fought in Germany, you fought in Toronto. You know what I mean? You fought in South Africa. Like, you've been to these different places, but I think Philly's going to give it up just a little bit different in this situation. And to be honest with you, this is going to be the most dangerous opponent that he's facing this career. You know what I mean? I think that's safe to say at this point in time, just considering what we know. You know, you also face Aaron McKenna in the UK and stuff like that off a late notice. So this dude, Uisma Lima, got a whole lot of heart. And not only does he have a whole lot of heart, he also has a shit ton of confidence. So shout out to Boxing Scene for this article right here, man. I want to read this to y'all because I think this actually went under the radar. I didn't see anybody talk about this, to be honest with you. So let's go ahead and get us a read real quick. Shout out to Jason Lagendorf for this article right here, man. He published this, you know, earlier today. He says, let me see. As profiles go, Uisma Lima knows that his own flies well under the radar of the average boxing fan. Then again, he also knows full well that profiles don't win fights. Let me see. He appeared on the Flash Knockdown podcast and discussed his October 11th matchup with the undefeated former unified welterweight title holder Jaron Boots Ennis at Philadelphia's Wells Fargo Center. It's no longer called the Wells Fargo Center, by the way. I think it's called like Xfinity Mobile Arena or something like that. But regardless, a 32-year-old Angolan now based in Porto, Portugal. Lima has yet to appear in a big fight on the grand stage against top quality competition. The closest he has come to any of them, a 10-round unanimous decision loss to Aaron McKenna in London's York Hall in 2023. Let me see. So we're going into the Uisma Lima quotes right now. He says, I don't have a big promotion behind me like Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, but I want to fight these big names. Boots does everything well, but me too. I work hard. I have good footwork. I have explosive punch. I think they have made a big mistake. So Uisma Lima saying, yo, Boots a monster, but I'm a monster too. You know what I mean? And he's pretty much comparing his abilities to Jaron Ennis and saying that, yo, like, y'all sleeping on me. I'm about to show y'all exactly who I am. He goes on to say, I like being the underdog. I have been to Canada, Germany, South Africa, and the UK and won. And this is another country to spoil the party. So this man has the ultimate underdog mentality, but a confident underdog, not a discouraged underdog, a scary underdog. No, this is somebody who, feels like he's been here before. And honestly feeling like since he's done this before, that this Jaron Ennis obstacle will be no different. So this is a guy who, has a loss on his record, but seems to be carrying it undefeated fighter's mentality. You know what I'm saying? It goes on to say, Ennis, 34-0, undoubtedly has his sights set on a much more high-profile competition at junior middleweight, but Lima was probably as good a place to start as any after a proposed bout with Virgil Ortiz Jr. fell through. But after a camp of sparring up-and-coming UK-based junior welterweight Adam Azim and coming off 4 consecutive stoppages, Lima believes he's more than just a live dog. Lima goes on to say, I want to put my name in history. I don't want to just be number one in Portugal. I want respect. Everyone wants to be a world champion. Me too. When I finish with Boots, people will know me. God damn, that is a Uisma Lima quote. That is not mine. Those are his words, not mine. That boy sounds very confident, don't he? That boy sounds pretty confident. He said when he finished with Boots, the world gonna know his name. So he looking to come up off of Jaron Ennis. You feel what I mean? So this is a confident, assured, sure of himself underdog who's looking to, make an example of Boots in his hometown. And since he's felt like he's done this, before, you know what I mean? That gives him the reassurance in his head to believe that he has what it takes in order to accomplish the job. Now, me personally, I disagree. I don't think any of the fighters that Uisma Lima face have any of the abilities that Jaron Ennis has. I believe that Jaron Ennis is, outside of like Terrence Crawford and, the top pound for pound level fighters in the world, one of the most complete fighters that you could ever come across in the sport of boxing. I witnessed this, and I told y'all, the first time I've actually been in the gym with Boots was probably like 2018. You know what I mean? I always heard of him. I seen him in the amateurs. His dad was always a well-known trainer in the city just based off of what he did with his other sons like Farah and Pooh. But, when I first stepped in the gym and witnessed Jaron Ennis, I said, bro, this is the best fighter that I've ever seen, like with my own eyes, like in the boxing gym. And I always knew after that day that he would become a world champion. And it wasn't me just glazing or just being a fan or whatever the case is. Not at all. This man has literally all of the tools that you would want in a fighter. You know what I mean? And he's and Sharon Baker says this all the time. Shout out to Coach Sharon. When you have the work ethic that Boots has, along with the skill set, you are called a trainer's dream. You know what I mean? You ain't got to worry about, with the work ethic and consistency and the lifestyle that he has, man. You would rarely catch Boots slipping. Like you would really because you don't got to worry about him running. You ain't got to worry about him not doing his strength training. You know what I mean? Barao was German. Okay, thank you, Anonymous. I appreciate that. Somebody said he was African. I don't know if – hopefully I didn't say that. But if I did, my apologies. If he's German, he's German. But you ain't got to worry about him not doing his strength and conditioning, his running, his training when his trainer's not around. Jaron Ennis, this man stays in the gym even when he doesn't have a fight date. He stays in the gym. He's constantly sharpening his tools. You know what I'm saying? So this is a guy who has all of the talent. He's got with his God-given abilities, the talent that he's developed through his hard work and the fucking work and the insane work ethic to match it. This is a different type of opponent for Uisma Lima. And there's not much that Jaron Ennis can't do in the ring. He has good footwork. He has a phenomenal whenever he uses it. I think he could be a little bit more consistent with it, but he has a world-class jab. Great counterpunching, great timing, great power, speed, IQ, explosive, elusive when he gets into if Boots puts in his mind that you're not going to touch him, it's going to be very hard to land a clean shot on that man. You know what I'm saying? So, and Boots has showed you a little bit of everything: killer instinct, discipline, combinations. Like there's nothing inside fighting, mid range, long range. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can show whatever you say that Boots can't show you. I could bring a fight where he does show you that, and he does. He definitely, provides good angles as well. Carlos, absolutely. You know what I mean? So this is definitely a different type of opponent for Uisma Lima. I did watch some film on Uisma Lima. He's very aggressive, come forward. Definitely look like he has some pop, throws a lot of punches. So he's the type of fighter that if you're not prepared for him, or at least you're not able to, rock his confidence or anything like that, he could be the type of guy who could beat you up. He could break you. He said Boots literally got everything besides superior patience because he's too much of a killer. He said, don't let the light skin fool you. I mean, I'm light skinned. I know what light skinned brothers are capable of doing, brother. You know what I mean? Justin, don't start your shit, brother. Don't start your shit. You say easy work for lima beans. Nah, don't be doing that. I watched a lot of Uisma Lima's fights, though, man. Not a lot of his fights. That'd be a lie. I watched a few of his fights, and like I said, he has good work rate, good volume, pressure. Looks to be in great shape too. Solid power, and like I said, if you're not prepared for him, I can see why he upset some people. You know what I mean? Because that's a hard style to deal with. You know what I mean? When you got that confidence, that dog, that conditioning, you could beat a lot of people if they slipping. But from what I've seen from Uisma Lima, even in the fight that he lost with Aaron McKenna, he leaves a lot of openings for good counters. He leaves a lot of openings for counters, man. He leaves his head directly on the center line. He doesn't really understand range too well, and I could tell because every time he has this idea that his opponent's in range for his left hand and he overextends the right hand, falls over his feet. That's gonna leave a lot. And with Boots, who understands range pretty well and is very good at catching people at the end of his shots, and with the accuracy, the time, and the counter punching ability that he has, Lima, I could really see Lima going out within 3 rounds. I genuinely believe that night is going to be a short night. Not because I'm thinking too highly of Boots, not because I'm underestimating Uisma Lima, but what I've seen with film don't lie, man. That dude leaves a whole lot of openness for Boots to take advantage of. And Boots is quick with the trigger, man. He's quick with the trigger. If he picks it up, he's gonna pull the trigger before Uisma Lima even realizes what's going on. And Boots has a type of speed, especially when he's punching in combinations, where it's gonna be really hard to see exactly what he's putting out there. He puts his punches right behind each other, very quick. I think it's gonna be a slaughter. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all, man. You know what I mean? He said a Thomas Delorme night. I seen those 4 uppercuts. I was like, yeah, bro, you peep out. He cut the angle, and that was real intelligent of Boots as well because he walked Stanionis to the ropes, and when he got Stanionis against the ropes, he cut the angle, then shot off the quadruple uppercut. You know what I mean? Stanionis was completely overwhelmed. He wasn't in position to punch. Yeah, and he was getting hit with some flush shots, so he had to go down. You know what I mean? Uh, he was out of position. That's what I meant. So when you're out of position, it's hard for you to get your offense off. So very, very decent finishing ability, or at least a great killer instinct. You know what I mean, by Jaron Ennis. But Uisma Lima, he a dog. You know what I mean? He might, you know what I mean, he might last a couple rounds just because he got that, confidence within himself, and you know what I mean? He carry himself like a warrior. But you know what I mean? Boots, very, very sharp puncher. Outside of being a strong puncher, uh, very sharp puncher. And a sharp puncher is just as dangerous as a knockout artist. Trust me when I tell you. Because, there's more than one way to knock somebody out. If you're a one-shot knockout artist, it is what it is. But if you put a shot in the right place and they're not able to see it, you could get the same results. You feel what I mean? There's different types of power, but all, those different types of power could get the job done the same way. I see Boots packing Uisma Lima within 3 rounds. And Boots told me the shots. That he believes is going to put Uisma Lima out. I ain't going to tell y'all. I don't know if that's what he necessarily wants people to know. You know what I mean? That was just a conversation between me and him at the gym. He said there's 2 ways. He sees 2 things that he could put together that'll put Uisma Lima out for the count. I'll let y'all decipher that shit, though. Sharp punches, open cuts. Absolutely. Sharp punches could also put you on your ass and be like, how the fuck did I get here? You know what I mean? He said chopping right hand to the ear like Clayton or Delorme. That's definitely a possibility because I also, like Bella Faith said, he doesn't bring his hands back home quick enough. You know what I mean? So Boots catches him one of those chopping right hands in the course of him, trying to get a jab off or a left hand off, that could happen. That could definitely happen. But that's not one of the 2 punches that he mentioned. He might actually say it during like a press conference or something like that. But yeah, he let me know exactly what he sees. And Boo's not really, from what I've heard, he's not the type to really study film and stuff like that. But like he'll see something real quick, see what you bring to the table. And I think he's not really a firm believer of watching film because he feels like, I mean, they might fight this guy one way, but then they'll fight him a totally different way. So you're gonna expect that this person gonna take this approach with you the whole time. He bringing out a whole new, game plan, a whole new style. So I definitely see Boots stopping him within 3, bro. I don't see Uisma Lima getting past the 4th. If he goes out, if he makes it to the 7th, like Justin Jackson said, Uisma Lima's a dog. He definitely a dog. You can tell. But if he goes to the 7th, like Justin Jackson just said, that'll be impressive. That'll be impressive because the type of flaws he got defensively, it's like Boo's not gonna let you walk that long. You feel me? He not even about to be playing with you, especially since it's his debut at 54. I know he excited. I know he motivated because he knows what's on the horizon if he gets past Lima. So, yeah, Sir said, boot, loot, shoot, Boots in 5. Justin said, Boo's going to fight Bararu for the WBA belt and niggas are going to hate. Justin, I think there's going to be I think there's somebody in particular that's going to beat Boots to that opportunity. I think Jermall Charlo is going to get that. Jermall Charlo is like the champion in recess, right? So All he literally got to do is let the WBA, yo, I'm back. You know what I mean? And the WBA, you know, by the rules, they're gonna have to mandate Barao to fight him. That's how that champion and recess shit work. So Barao either got to fight him or he got to vacate the belt, and I highly doubt Barao was gonna do that. So I think Jermall is gonna be the one. He out here playing chess. He understand that he in that position. All he gotta do is put the call in, or he just gotta write them a letter, whatever the case is, and they're gonna put Barao in a situation where he gotta fight Jermall if he wants to maintain, you know, his championship status. Charlo not gonna fight him on the first fight. I think he would be an absolute fool to not fight him on the first fight. Just be real. Like if he listen, they talking about Errol Spence early 2026 with Jermall. If you just, you know what I mean, if you want to make a quick lick, if you want to make some good money, all right, man, go to Errol Spence route. But if your sole mission is to become champion and prove, like, and that's all Jermall been saying. He said that he about to take over 54 again. He coming to get the smoke. Okay, cool. So if that's the case, you should just go straight for Barao. If you can't beat Barao, nigga, you're done. Jermall Charlo, I don't give a fuck how long of a layoff you coming off of, and that you coming off of a loss. If you can't beat Barao with no tune-up, you cooked at 54, bro. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about the situation. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to talk crazy or nothing like that, but Barao, that's the nigga that you supposed to be coming back against to get back in the mix. Barao didn't show me nothing that let me know that he could beat a Charlo or that he an elite level 54. That's the weakest nigga. Niggas talking about Xander Zaya is the weakest link at 54. Not no more. Bro, it take more than being tough to beat a Jermall. It take more than being tough to beat Jermall, brother. Nigga, what the fuck is this nigga name? Castaño was tough. Look where that got him. Castaño was very tough. Take more than being tough to beat a Jermall Charlo, man. I'm telling you, if Charlo don't get that Barao fight, that should be his first fight back. I think anything other than that, that just go. If he take the Errol Spence fight over Barao, no, Barao was a dog. Listen, Justin, Barao was a dog. He whooped on Tellez. Dog bullied him, fucked him up. I seen it. But just because you a dog don't mean that I'm gonna make you somebody that's gonna beat a former undisputed super welterweight champion in Jermall Charlo, brother. You know what I mean? Like the dog, you know, being a dog ain't the end all be all. It ain't just like the motherfucking ultimate solution. Because Jermall a dog in his own right. So something else gotta stand out besides that. Jermall Charlo's pedigree far exceeds Barao, man. Castaño was a dog. Jermall done been in there with a few dogs. You need more than that. Just you know. Yeah, I just don't see it. Right? I mean, if he gonna do a tune-up, cool. If he gonna do a tune-up, it is what it is. But is Errol Spence a tune-up? Is Errol Spence a tune-up? Because they saying he coming back early 2026 to possibly fight Errol. Is Errol a tune-up? I don't think so. He may not be who he was previously, but I don't know if Errol's a tune-up. All right. So if you saying he taking a tune-up, but then you saying Errol Spence is a tune-up at this point. I disagree. He's definitely not who he was. I think his best years are behind him. And Bud may have made him look like he was easy work, but I don't know, man. I don't think Errol's a tune-up. I wouldn't consider him that just yet. But regardless, it's like this next fight for Jermall is ultimately going to decide where his head at. Because, like I said, you know, with the experience that Jermall Charlo got, the skills, the experience, you know what I mean? This dude been pro since he was like 17 years old, y'all. How long Jermall been pro? Jermall Charlo turned pro when how old was he, bro? I think he turned pro before Jermall did. This nigga made his debut in 2007. What's that? Like 18 years ago? Nigga been pro for damn near 20 years. If you can't beat Barao coming off a layoff, you need to leave this shit alone. So let's do the math. He probably like 34, 35. He 35 years old, 18. Yeah, you turned pro when you was 17, brother. You've been pro since you was 17. You can't beat Barao coming off a layoff. I don't even know what to tell you, bro. Ain't no reason why Barao beats you. If he beats you, you just ain't got it no more. No disrespect to Barao, but goddamn, like Jermall is level. He's supposed to be levels above Barao. Barao the type nigga you supposed to come back and make a name off of coming off a layoff. That's just what I think. Terrence Smith says tournament including Spence, Jermall, Thurman, Booz, Bacro, and Fundora. I just don't see how Spence is in the equation. It's like all them niggas fought at 54 except Spence. That's why he deserved to be in the tournament. I would rather see Zayas in the tournament. Replace Spence and put Zayas. Shit, replace Thurman and put Virgil. Now that's fire. Thurman about to get packed up by Fundora. You acted like he Justin. You miss You're like. It's like I didn't explain this so many times to you. It's like you just sat on just thinking from that perspective. What I'm telling you is, Barao's not easy. He's not. But he's not on Jermall Charlo's level, bro. They different levels of fighters, bro. Who's the more experienced fighter? Who has the better resume? Who's accomplished more? Who's the man of the division? All that falls on Jermall Charlo's part. Who got the better tools? Who's actually undergone some adversity and rose to the occasion? Jermall Charlo is the superior fighter all around. Right? So, yeah, you coming off of inactivity. Yeah, you coming off of a loss to Canelo Alvarez. Right? But you supposed to be the man of the division. Right? So, with you being the man of the division and you a champion in recess, why not? And you already considering fighting Errol Spence coming off of this layoff. So if you're considering fighting Errol Spence, why not fight Barao? Barao ain't accomplished what Errol Spence accomplished. He not as notable of a name. So if you're willing to fight Errol, why you not willing to fight Barao? Unless you cherry picking, you see a wounded animal and now you trying to go for the kill type shit, like on some hyena shit. You know what I mean? They see that motherfucking zebra limping down the trail or whatever, and they be like, oh shit, this easy pickings now. They ain't never pick on the motherfucker or consider jumping on the motherfucker when he was nice and healthy. You know what I mean? That was a crazy example, but whatever. Niggas on some vulture, you know what I mean? Or they wait until niggas cook and then they come down and, you know what I mean, do their thing. You feel me? What I'm saying is, if you're willing to fight Errol Spence, who's a former unified champion in his own right, why not fight Barao? If you can't beat, and look, his whole objective is to conquer the 154-pound division again, because since he's been gone, New kids are on the block. So because these new kids on the block, he's motivated. He's like, yo, I'm coming to get my division back. This is my division. I'm here to stay. Okay. Prove it. Prove it. Don't be popping your shit and then you go fight a tune-up. Don't be popping your shit and then you fighting an inactive, destroyed Errol Spence on the decline. And dumb post you just addressed, Jackson. He called out Boots, Fundora, Arrow, and I'm sure there's some other people he done made. Okay. The sanctioning body that you're currently a champion in recess for just elevated a new champion. Well, why not fight him? Why not fight him? What would be a better message to send to the division than coming back against a full status champion and beating him? Oh yeah, Bud. Yeah, I forgot about that. But Bud not coming back, so ain't no point. He not coming back to that division. Ain't no point in talking about it. And plus, he said he'll never fight Jermall anyway because he went out like a hoe against Canelo. Then he went and beat Canelo. So, yeah. Yeah, he did call out Bud, Ralph. I remember that. I think it was like fucking Lion was smoking on Bud. You know what I mean? Took that quote from Errol Spence. You feel me? But then want to call out Errol Spence right behind it. It was comical. But, yeah. Boxing Sparring said WBC stands for We Be On Code. For the Mexicans, absolutely. For the Mexicans, absolutely. They be on code with the Mexicans. For sure. So on code that they willing to bypass the fact that they drug cheats. We did an investigation and we're going to clear you. In our investigation, we feel like you've done no wrongdoing. As if they could prove that. How could they prove that? Did somebody ever ask the WBC and them, what's this investigation that y'all do? And from that investigation, how can you determine whether somebody took part in wrongdoing or not? I think that's a phenomenal question. Simple, but phenomenal. Right? What is your investigation? And how does that investigation determine whether somebody took the PED knowingly or not? The reality is, there's no way for you to know. The only motherfuckers that know is the fighter and God. Ralph said, you got to say allegedly, Ralph. Niggas get sued for saying this type shit now. The investigation was a check Reynoso gave them. Yeah. Oh, investigation. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're clear. Allegedly. Yeah, you gotta be careful, man. Jake Paul suing niggas for saying that his fight's rigged. This dude, Boxer Sparring, says it's bigger than boxing, fam. You see how that 21-year-old Mexican boxer, Ivan Cabrera, ended up 2 days ago. Rest in peace to Ivan Cabrera. I read about that. That was highly unfortunate. However, Boxer Sparring, one doesn't have to do with the other. You know, somebody being unalived has nothing to do with a boxer coming off of a loss and then automatically becoming the number one guy in the WBC. They don't have anything to do with each other, brother. But they definitely be on code for their people. Shout out to my Mexican brothers out there, man. One don't got to do with the other. You know what I mean? What happened with Ivan Cabrera, that was something that was completely outside of boxing. It had nothing to do with boxing. If I had to guess, I mean, I don't know. Most likely, You know what I mean? If you getting rolled up in the carpet or whatever the case is, that sounds like something personal. That sounds like something personal. Somebody going out their way to do that to you, probably pissed off the wrong person. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of messy to even speak on that. I don't know the details. You know what I mean, I don't know if details will ever emerge from that situation. I don't know. But what I do know is neither one got to do with each other. I don't know. I ain't even about to be speaking on no cartels or nothing like that. I'm cool. What does Canelo having them ties got to do with anything? See that this is like this ain't even boxing. So because he got them ties, the WBC staying on code and keeping them number one, coming off a loss, like I don't know. That's a reach, brother. I don't know. I just don't understand where the correlation's at. Blink twice. Man, I don't know nothing about that, man. And I ain't about to be going down that. I ain't even about to be going down that road talking about that. That's why the WBC stays on code. Okay, if you say so. That's your theory, brother. We gotta put Canelo number one because he's tied to the cartel, and we're scared for our lives. Okay. All right. Ain't even speaking about that, man. I ain't speaking about the Mexican cartel, the Colombian cartel, the cartels in Puerto Rico. I'm cool. Hopefully they like me. Oh, no problem. Oh shit, you see that? Yeah. Completely forgot about that. They definitely took Canelo brother and held him up for ransom though. So I don't know how tied in he is with them if they over here kidnapping his brother. Yo, Justin, I hear that all the time. So when you out and about, these Mexican cops will pull you over and pretty much extort you. I seen that. I seen that shit on video. The cops won't let the tourists leave unless they paid them. And don't even be that much bread. But yeah, I guess U.S. dollars go a long way over there. Damn, they robbed you of $40, 40 pesos or $40. There's a difference. Yeah, I think that reform. I think that's what it comes down to. Canelo brings serious money, and the WBC want that. Yeah, 40 American dollars go a long way in Mexico, from what I understand. Like $40 today is 736 pesos. They say 200 pesos goes pretty far in Mexico. Yeah, they say you can do a lot of money with 40 US dollars. You can do a whole lot in Mexico. Yeah, Sean, that's what it comes down to. You know what I mean? And like I said, you know what I mean, Mexicans gonna support Mexicans. I mean, it is what it is. I ain't tripping. I just got a problem when they be like, enabling the corrupt shit that go on in boxing. When you enable things in boxing that contributes to the dysfunction of boxing, I got a problem with it, and I always have. I mean, to pull 100 out the ATM. Yo, man, if y'all in Mexico, just stay in the resorts, bro. Stay in the resorts. See that? I think people get a little too curious, and I'm not saying this you, brother, but if I'm going to Mexico, bro, I'm staying in them resorts. I ain't walking. The only time I'm leaving that resort is when I'm flying back home. Same thing in like Jamaica and all that. I'm cool. I don't even want to know what's outside the resort. I'm staying here. Fuck all that. I got a son to come home too. I've been hearing about the things that be happening to these U.S. citizens. Oh yeah. Yo, Justin, we gotta talk, bro. Not about that. You gotta hit me up on. You got Instagram, brother? Hit me up. They be getting drugged by the women. Yeah, that's nasty work. I heard that's how it be like in Dominican Republic and shit like that. As soon as they find out you American, they think you rich. And you know what I mean, with a couple thousand, you could live like a king out in DR. You feel what I mean? From what I heard, my uncle used to go over there. My uncle got finessed by one of them women, though. Let me tell y'all something. My uncle was going to DR at fun at first, but then he see how easy the women was over there. So my uncle always had bread. So like he got a couple cribs and shit like that. So he a landlord, he make a lot of money and shit. Went over there, man, started fucking with them Dominican Johns. One of them got his attention. He put a baby in one of them. Did the fucking paperwork, got her over here. Oh my God, she went and got a job and left his ass. Left his ass, bro. She got her citizenship. And then tried to take the young boy from him. They had to go to court. He smoked her in court, though. That's what fucked up. And they cool now, apparently, but she finessed him bad. JD 94. All right, bet. Let me go ahead. Nah, he definitely got finesse. Anonymous. Man, she came over. She was a beautiful lady, by the way. Beautiful woman. I remember he was bragging like, yeah, man. You know what I mean? Like these Dominican girls, you know what I mean? They ain't like these girls from the US. Like they listen. You know what I mean? They don't talk back, blah, blah. Like he flexing this bitch. I'm like, oh, all right. You know what I mean? She was a little young John too. She was around my age. And legal, by the way. You know what I mean? We don't do that weirdo shit over here. And bro, she went and got a job like being a cashier at like the supermarket. She working. She stacking her bread. This bitch went and got an apartment behind my uncle's back. And one day he came home and all her shit was gone. Damn. Imagine that shit, bro. You thinking your relationship going all well. You know what I mean? You got your wife, you cool, you got your family, you shut up. You walk in your crib one day and all her shit gone. She got her own place. She left you. And I'm going to tell y'all this. I was working at ShopRite when I was a young boy, right? And I remember I was walking out. I just clocked out. I'm walking out. She walking in, right? I recognize her. Fuck, I was just like, she used to be at my crib all the time. But she walking in with like some like Dominican nigga with like a red Yankee hat. Ooh wee. I was like, yo, who the fuck is that nigga, bro? She saw me. She literally did a 180 and walked out the joint. I was like, oh, that's where you done fucked up. See, if you would have just walked past me, I probably would have thought nothing of it. I straight called my mom. I'm like, yo, I started snitching. I'm like, yo, this bitch, you know what I mean? She got a whole new nigga. She was like, what? No, she got family that came down from New York. I said, man, they ain't family, because when she saw me, she turned around. Like, that was suspicious. You know what I mean? That was some weirdo shit. Oh, no. Come to find out, that was she had a whole new nigga. She had a whole new nigga when she got down here. The bitch started choosing off the rip. I'm like, damn. Man, them women cold-blooded. Them Dominican women, and a lot of women that's just looking for U.S. citizenship, they'll play the game until they get what they want, then they out. Yeah, they are a good co-parent. They do so this is unfortunate. And I hope my son never experienced this, because I mean, my son young right now, so he don't even know what life is. He don't know what's going on. But from them clashes so much, my little cousin, his son had like a mental breakdown. So that was like a wake-up call for both of them. So they took the time to actually hash things out. You know what I mean? Therapy, all that good shit. And now they like co-parenting effectively, you know what I mean? Which is a beautiful thing. But I don't ever want to put my son in that situation. I'm just glad that I got all that drama and mess out the way. So, you know what I mean? My son won't have to remember them traumatic experiences. You know what I'm saying? I know my son eventually gonna ask those questions like, why you and mom ain't together? And like I already know. And I'm gonna just, I don't know how she gonna break it down, because she got a different way of approaching shit. Me personally, like, she more worried about how she feel. I'm more worried about how he feel. So I put his feelings above mine. Even if I feel a way about something, I'll do whatever's in his best interest. I done settled for shit that I wasn't necessarily right with, just to make him happy, or just to do whatever was in his best interest. I did things that I didn't want to do, and I did things for people that didn't deserve shit. They didn't deserve it, just so my son could be in a better place mentally. You feel what I'm saying? She like, fuck what everybody else think. I'm gonna do me. You feel me? And fuck however anybody else feels. So our mentalities are different. So I know how she gonna. I feel like I know how she's gonna carry it when he asks that question. But me, I'm gonna keep that shit as appropriate as possible. Won't ever say, "Oh, no, it ain't." And growing up, my parents broke up when I was 7. And it wasn't a good feeling hearing. And my dad, one thing I'm gonna say, my dad never said nothing crazy about my mom to me. But my mom had a lot of shit to say about my dad, and that's not a good feeling. You know what I mean? Then it's feel like you gotta like, and think me and my dad always had a close relationship, so I never let what she said brainwash, and she never did that. She just felt how she felt, but she always wanted me to have a relationship with my father. So it wasn't that she was trying to alienate me from my father, nothing like that. But she'd be like, "Oh, that nigga wasn't shit," type shit. But you don't ever want to hear that about your father, because your father like your superhero. That's like your best friend. Why would you want anybody to talk crazy about your parent? You know what I mean? So it's not a good feeling. So I won't ever put my son in that position. You know what I mean? And I'll tell y'all this, man. I'd rather have 2 happy homes than 1 toxic one. You know what I mean? She got what she got going on over there. Hopefully she happy with her situation. I'm very happy with mine. Hopefully, you know what I mean, he got 2 homes to go to where he could find peace in both. You know what I mean? Instead of being in one household with 2 parents who don't like each other, but trying to keep things together for the sake of the children, and they experiencing all this toxic bullshit. It's cool. Yeah, serious snapping. He said, swear to God, her next destination would have been them pearly gates. Got me fucked up. Hey, man, I get it, bro. I get it. Bro, if I would, man, if it was just like, if this was like a live that like only y'all could see, man, I would break down. So, bro, I would tell y'all so many stories, nigga, my life and the shit that I've been through in regard to that situation. That shit movie worthy. Every time I ever sat down with somebody and spoke about my story and my experiences, like this some shit that you would see like in a like one of these popular TV shows. I'm telling you. If I was to tell you just a small page of what I went through. My son only being 2 years old, within that time frame, what I've been through, bro, that shit, y'all be like, what the fuck? I'm telling you. Justin, I ain't getting no. I didn't tell y'all. I know exactly what I told y'all. I'm talking about specific stories, bro. Like specific stories. I gave y'all like, I was being transparent and got a little emotional about like the whole court situation. That ain't even a fraction of what I was talking about. Or what the fuck I gotta say, bro. There's one story that I got in particular, y'all would be like, yo, this sounds like some shit out of a movie. Because every time I tell people, you can see it in their eyes, like, what? Mouth drop. Oh, they be like, nigga, you really, yeah. And while that was going on, I would come home and talk to y'all like nothing happened. That's how I knew I was different. If y'all already know how I was in the chat, bro. Back like my day one niggas, like Coffee Plant, Ralph, everybody. Y'all remember when I had my first apartment? Y'all remember what my first apartment looked like? That's when shit was like, and when I had to stay on my mom, I had to sleep on my mom's sofa for like 3 months. That was a whole different job. From like December to March. December to February. Yeah, like I had 2 different settings that I was doing lives on. When I first started doing lives, it was on my first place. Then when shit hit the fan, I was staying in my mom's crib for a few months. And then this is the new crib right here. But yeah, at that first crib, them 2023 lives, yeah. Yeah. That's when shit was really hitting the fan. I was like, damn, like what the fuck? I can't take a break. Like I was about to say fuck all this shit, bro. Thank God I had the support system that I had on YouTube, because if I'd had like a shitty like sub, like a shitty chat or whatever the case is, like my chat was so supportive and fucked with me so heavy that was what I would look for, because my life was so chaotic at that point, bro, that my chat was the only thing that was like positive in my life. Like, all right, well, at least I could go on live later and chop it up with niggas who fuck with me. Because as soon as I log off this bitch, all I'm ever being told is how much I'm hated. So shit, at least you always gonna gravitate towards where the love at. Those kinds of lives will get demonetized now. Bro, they was getting demonetized then. As soon as I hit 1K, I was like, bro, I gotta tighten up. Those lives was insane. This shit is a lot more censored. This shit that we be doing here is a lot more censored, bro, than what we was doing before we got monetized. Them lives was insane. If y'all was to go tap into them old Johns, y'all be like, yo, we be saying, if I really like go mainstream or some crazy shit like that, I'm getting canceled immediately. Justin, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Unfortunately, fortunately, because you probably talking about the dickhead with the beanie. Yeah, the one that won't fight me. Yeah, a lot of people made their way through him. And I never discredited him for that. He helped me get the 1K. Facts. But You know what I mean? If you just look at his history, you'll see that he had problems with everybody. So, you know what I mean? I'm not the issue. I got friends. My best, I maintain relationships with people for many years. Like my best friend, we've been best friends since we was 11 years old. We 27 now. 16 years locked in. My other homie, another good friend of mine. I look at him as a best friend too. Steve Hahn. Known him since 2013. We got 12 years in. Like I ain't got no problem maintaining relationships. You know what I mean? But obviously he do. Y'all serious petty as shit. Yeah, yeah, you caught up, brother. You know what you talking about. Live Quality Sports. Shout out to Live Quality Sports in the building. He said, Mazuma, do you think Boots should fight for the WBA interim belt since he's already ranked #1 in the WBA? Well, if he's able to get that Barao opportunity, because if you don't know Live Quality, Barao just got elevated to the full status champion since Terrence Crawford will no longer be, competing in the 154-pound division. If Boots is able to get that opportunity, fight him, because that'll be a. See, y'all keep. I'm not disrespecting Barao, man. It's just levels to this shit. I just feel like Barao will be tailor made for somebody like Boots. If Boots don't got to look for you, half the job already done. Like, that's just what I personally believe. But if Boots is able to get that fight, yes, get it done. Yes, get it done. That'll be a good route. But Boots they already putting the chess pieces in place for him to, fight a quality fighter soon. Should we? Yeah, we definitely gonna switch to the Kid Austin fight. Definitely. We talking about Barao like my nigga Ammo. Man, fuck Ammo. Take him and his little tail the fuck up out of here. Sean Rancher said, "What are your favorite boxing channels?" To be honest with you, I don't really be watching anybody else. Like sometimes I'll watch and a lot of them I'm not even sub to for real. Like sometimes I gotta go out of my way. Like I seen the Boxer Voice when he did the interview with Turkey Al Sheik. I watched that. I just seen him arguing with Demetrius Andre. So I'll go out my way to watch. So I'm not sub to him though. 78 Sports TV. Whenever he's talking about boxing, I'll tap in. YSM Sports Media, of course. Whenever I get the chance, I'll watch Greg Hackett. But that's it. A lot of these dudes I don't really pay attention to, and it's not no disrespect because people are making it seem like I don't fuck with nobody. That's not the case. I like my opinions to be specifically influenced by me. You know what I mean? So whenever people ask me a question like you asking me right now, I want it to strictly come from me. You know what I mean? I don't want my opinion influenced by so and so or so and so, and then I'm pretty much, if I agree with what they say, I'm pretty much copy and pasting what they say, and I want my shit to be as authentic as possible. And I try to do things my way. You feel me? But anyways, Justice said, I follow most Philly-based boxing channels. You, Greg, YSM, y'all the most genuine on the tube. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Thank you, man. Definitely gonna bring I'm gonna bring Greg back on the channel as soon as possible. We got some things that we need to discuss, man, for sure. And I know y'all be fucking with the Greg Hackett collaboration. So I think we did 2 thus far. So look for that third one. I'm gonna let the Boots fight get a little bit closer. No, we definitely. I mean, we could do that as soon as possible, actually, because there's been a lot of things that's happened since we last spoke. So, yeah, man, we gonna expect that Greg Hackett collaboration soon. He said this train smell like Badussi. That's crazy. But anyways, Should we switch to the Kid Austin fight? Absolutely. Yeah, this is a perfect topic to wrap up on. So, a lot of people have been speculating exactly what Floyd Schofield is going to be doing for his next fight. You know what I mean? There was a lot of rumors going around, especially after his brilliant first round knockout of Tevin Farmer, a former world champion. A lot of rumors were circulating that he may face Raymond Mordetayo, who's currently the IBF lightweight champion of the world. And it seemed like those conversations had pretty much died down. They were talking about it initially, but I don't know exactly what happened with that fight. I would like to see if anybody would be, capable of answering that, whether it's Auntie Skull, whatever the case is, or somebody like Robert Garcia from Raymond Mordetayo's team. I would like to know exactly what transpired between them two and why them negotiations fell through. But regardless, on Eric Salubin and Virgil Ortiz's undercard, Kid Austin, which is a smart move by Oscar De La Hoya because, Kid Austin, from Texas. Virgil Ortiz is from Texas. They fight in Texas. So that was a great little move on Oscar De La Hoya's part to do. Very, very smart in terms of promotion for the fight. He's going to be going up against former world champion who defeated Tevin Farmer as well, Jojo Diaz, who at this point in time is a gatekeeper. You know what I mean? Jojo Diaz, a lot of things went wrong in his career after becoming world champion, losing some fights and, getting caught up in all types of shit outside of the ring. So at this point, he's just an opponent. And this dude, Jojo Diaz, has pretty much fought so many people. Like, his fucking resume at this point is absolutely insane. Like, you talking about Gary Russell. You talking about Tevin Farmer. You talking about Javier Fortuna, Devin Haney, Rock Mahov. I think that's his name. I remember that. I remember that fight being a draw. Devin Haney, William Cepeda, you know what I mean? Oscar Duarte, and most recently Regis Prograis. And there were some people that believed that Jojo Diaz might have pulled it off against Regis Prograis, and that's a former world champion in himself. So Jojo Diaz definitely on the decline, not who he used to be. However, he seems to be pretty game. And, this just lets me know that, Kid Austin is being moved very strategically by his father and Golden Boy Promotions. They know that they possibly have a world champion in this kid. And to be honest, what I've always said about Kid Austin is that, he needs a little bit more polishing, but I think he has a shit ton of potential. And I was one of very few people in the boxing space to actually pick Floyd Schofield to defeat Tevin Farmer. I said that he definitely had the abilities, and I had my criticisms about Tevin Farmer. And I said that if, Kid Austin was aggressive, punched in combinations and overwhelmed him with offense, that he could get the job done. Come to find out, he surpassed my expectations. The first clean shot he hit Tevin with, he put him down with, and he was able to finish him. So, I still believe that Kid Austin has a lot of potential. I'm not the biggest fan of his father, but, that's typically how it goes. These blessed, very cool, laid back, talented young fighters typically have arrogant piece of shit fathers. You know what I mean? But it is what it is, man. They still in the building phase of Floyd Schofield. So before they get a world title opportunity, they just building their experience by fighting, experienced vets. You know what I mean? And this is exactly what I was talking about in terms of what Edgar Berlanga lacks in his career. Edgar Berlanga missed a few steps. He faced these guys that was pretty much, there to be knocked out in the first round and shit like that. But he didn't face those those other top contenders like Kid Austin with Tevin Farmer. He didn't go and face like those former world champions who like gatekeepers at this point, like a Jojo Diaz. He missed some steps. It seems like Floyd Schofield is being moved along, pretty intelligently, very strategically. You know what I mean? Because they're giving him these looks against these guys who are beatable at this point, but still, game enough where he can learn something from them and continue to grow and develop as a polished professional boxer. You see what I mean? So can he beat Jojo Diaz? Yes, he could beat Jojo Diaz at this point in time. But can he learn something from Jojo Diaz and build that experience so he could be in a better position to possibly be a world champion? Absolutely. You know what I mean? So I like this fight for, Kid Schofield. He wasn't able to get the world title opportunity for some sort of reason, but he does have some flaws. There are some things that he need to go and correct. And Jojo Diaz might be a step in the right direction to tighten some things up. So when he fight for a world title, he'll be extremely confident heading into that fight. I like the fight. Says, is Floyd moving up to 140 to fight JoJo? I'm not sure. But I do think I never heard of Kid Schofield campaigning at 140, so I'm assuming since he's the A side in this particular situation that JoJo Diaz might move back down to 35 to fight Kid Austin. I haven't heard anything about Schofield moving up to 40. I mean, it seemed like they campaigning at 35. They want to get a world title at 135. They're portraying it as if once Tank vacates that title, they're going to be fighting for it. So, I'm assuming this is going to be a 135 contest. Hey, man, JoJo, if you really think about it, though, Justin, JoJo don't really got that many options. He's an opponent, so he has to take whatever is given to him. Let's just keep it real. It's not like he the champion he was, when he grabbed that IBF belt off of Tevin Farmer. No. He slipped a whole lot since then. That man got 8 losses. And I think when he fought Tevin, he had 1 loss. Let me check real quick. Let me see this to confirm. Yeah, he literally was 30-1. You went from 30-1 to 34-8. Completely fell off. You know what I mean? So he don't got many options. Like if you look at his last 5 fights, he lost 4 of them. And the one nigga he beat was 6-4 in Mexico, in Tijuana. So when you're that down bad, when you're down that bad, you gotta take whatever's given to you. You gotta take whatever money they offering, because it's not like you got any room for any type of negotiations whatsoever. Like you're a gatekeeper, and that's what comes with being a gatekeeper, bro. Smoochie, what up? His first loss was against Gary Russell. That's correct. And I think what really fucked him over with the Gary Russell fight was that he ain't have a jab. I mean, he was never on Gary Russell level, at any point in his career, and that's why he lost to him. But his lack of jab really fucked him over in that fight. But he landed some good body shots on Gary. Like he was game. And Jojo Diaz had a great amateur background as well. I think he was an Olympian. So he's not like trash, but that happens with some guys where they start off well and then all of a sudden they gatekeepers. That's how that shit work. But we need gatekeepers in order to build up the next generation of talent, like possibly Floyd Schofield. They all got their parts. They all got their roles in boxing. They help this wheel turn. You need the guys with lopsided records at the beginning to help build these prospects up. You need these former world champions who washed up and still got something left in the tank to help build these contenders and the champions. You know what I mean? You need these contenders to fight other contenders so they can prove they're worthy of a title shot. Like they all play their role. Boxing wouldn't be boxing without the guys with the 0-10 records. Boxing wouldn't be boxing without the Jojo Diaz who, is a former world champion and, pretty much gatekeeping the top contenders in the division. Like you need all of these things to continue to keep the boxing world moving. They all play their part. They're all very important. But it's crazy that Jojo Diaz is 32. He's only 32 and he's fell off heavily. That's when you're supposed to still be at your peak, but You know what I mean? Some people got shorter primes than others, just based off how the way they carry themselves. I mean, let me see. Let me check these weights. I mean, to be real, Justin, he's done this before. So based off of what I'm seeing here on BoxRec, he fought at 140, went back down to 35. You know what I mean? And he weighed at 142 against Regis. I don't think he'll have that much trouble. And plus, you know, Jojo Diaz has started as low as 122. So I don't think that'll necessarily be that difficult to get down to be honest. I don't really see that being a thing. Jojo likes to drink. Shit, just like a majority of these Mexicans, bro. That shit damn near in their culture. They like to drink. They like to party. They like to drink. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And I'll tell you what, and this is something that a lot of people don't address, particularly in boxing. Dudes who dudes who have like traumatic brain injuries and shit like that tend to rely on liquor because liquor kind of like numbs, those symptoms. If you get what I mean, that's what I heard. I mean, I wouldn't know. I wasn't in boxing that long to develop them type of problems. I never drank. I've never been drunk, so that might be a little bit out of my realm. But they said people who, have who deal constantly with concussions and traumatic, like I said, traumatic brain injuries and shit. They'll indulge in liquor to ease, the pain or their symptoms. That's what I heard. When you think Kid, Yasir Ali says, when you think Kid gonna step up his comp? JoJo, the the PDF file. If you know, you know. I was gonna bring that up, but yeah, I mean, I ain't want to demonetize my video. He says a downgrade in my opinion. I mean, yeah, that might be a step down from Tevin Farmer. Absolutely. I mean, and it's not might, it is a step down from Tevin Farmer. However, it seems like based off of how the way they talking over there, Golden Boy has this model where it's like, oh, why take this fight when we could keep you undefeated for this long? And so Golden Boy, they carry, Top Rain, Golden Boy, they carry things a little bit different, but they all got the same strategy to make as much money off of a fighter as possible. I think Golden Boy's in this process where they're building kid, they building kid. So what they're doing right now is having them fight these lower level guys, build the name up while simultaneously attaching Kid Austin's name to other champions so they can become more popular. You know what I mean? They can start selling more tickets. They can be talked about more. You know what I mean? And then they'll be willing to cash them out. Yeah, JoJo a little freaky motherfucker, bro. I heard about that years ago. Something about, Snapchatting underage girls and little weird shit like that. But yeah, he definitely a PDF file for sure. Yeah, that's funny, but it's true. Anonymous said, "All I know is Oscar don't fuck with JoJo." That's a fact. 'Cause he definitely threw him into the dungeon. Definitely threw his ass into the dungeon with no weapons. Like, just figure it out, nigga. Bye. Yeah, man. I don't know what SPM is. What is that? Yeah, they do be keeping that shit on the hush when it come to JoJo, but let there be a black fighter who got them type accusations. Yeah, I think Kid gonna fuck JoJo up. Cause JoJo gonna be there. And Kid is very explosive and he's quick too. And Kid don't play with you. Like he can get you up out of there. He gonna clip you off the rip. Like it ain't no like slow starting shit for Kid. If he could get straight to it, then he gonna, you know what I mean? He gonna be in and out like a robbery. Oh, South Park Mexican is a Mexican rapper from Texas who was a PDF. Oh wow, didn't know that. Then they say the same thing about 6ix9ine though. I don't know exactly what the situation is with 6ix9ine, but I heard he was tied to some weirdo shit too. Anyways, man, we got any last questions before we get up out of here, man? I gotta wake up early to work tomorrow, unfortunately. Yeah, Kid like to go for the kill. But I don't know if Jojo Diaz got what it take to make him pay for that. He might just steamroll Jojo, to be honest with you. I might put a bet in for the knockout. Has Jojo ever been knocked out? He got stopped by Duarte. He got stopped by Duarte. It's possible. Kid might hit him with some quick shit that he don't see. You know what? I might bet on Kid for the knockout. Might stop him early too. When and who is JYD fighting? How would I know? That's a bread man question. I like that. I like that JYD has been promoting himself really well, though. I don't see any fight dates or anything on his box rec, so I can't even tell you. But let's see. JYD is still definitely in the developmental stage of his career. Um, I like the fact that he's promoting himself so well that people know who he is without even fighting anybody notable. Very great promotion on his part. But I know he trained with Breadman. I don't think I've ever met him. That's crazy, right? I don't think I've ever met him. I don't recall ever being in the same room as him. I've been in the same room as Breadman. I've been to Schuler's for sparring. We sparred J Rock. We sparred Karan Davis. We sparred a few of Breadman's fighters. Even and then we was at Bosey's when my fighter Derek Moore sparred uh Romel Cruz. Was that Romel Cruz? We sparred. Was that Romel Cruz we sparred? We sparred Christian Cardo and yeah, it might have been Romel Cruz. Um, yeah, I've never ran into him. That's interesting. I'm gonna try to see if I can get him on the show though. You think Danny gonna get the knockout? I can't speak on that because I don't know his opponent. You know what I mean? I gotta do some studying. Uh, but Danny has very heavy hands. From everybody I heard that on spar Danny, they always said that his punches felt like bricks. Very very heavy handed individual. So yeah. What do I think about H2O versus Kome? Um, that's a good fight. There was a Philly fighter that I was speaking the same day that one of my fighters at Spar Boots last week or the week before. like 2 weeks ago. I was speaking with this undefeated prospect from Philadelphia, Juan Rivera, and apparently, you know, he was setting himself up to fight H2O at the Barclays because Juan Rivera does business with Danny Garcia with DSG Promotions. So I was like, "Oh, bro, I hope you get that opportunity." But to be real with you, I don't think you're gonna get the opportunity. I don't think that I don't think like he will really give you that fight. And to be honest, fuck Juan probably would have beat him. To be honest with you, but H2O fighting Richard Comey, that's a good scrap. You know what I mean? I don't know what H2O has done since being knocked out by Lucas' body. He actually hasn't fought since he got knocked out by Lucas' body. God damn. Okay, so he's coming off of a year plus layoff. So a 14-month layoff. He's going back in with a former world champion who's definitely on the decline. So this is a and Luke, and one thing about Coleman, he could crack. Coleman could crack. So that's a good fight right there. You know what I mean? They both got they got their disadvantages and stuff going into the fight. So this is going to show exactly where H2O is at. If he goes and he puts on a brilliant performance against Richard Coleman, you know what I mean? That's a pretty solid win to come back into after being knocked unconscious. You feel what I mean? But if he loses to Richard Coleman, then it's safe to say that, considering the fact that Coleman's, washed, you know what I mean, or on the decline, not who he was at his peak, that, H2O might be damaged goods. You know what I mean? So that's a good one. That's a risky fight for H2O to take, though. I think he can win, but risky fight to take. So, yeah, man. Reform says Jesse Hart versus, you must be talking about Khalil Cole. I heard there's some tension in Philadelphia based off of that, because for anybody that knows, Khalil Cole is trained by Rasheem Jefferson, who's from Philadelphia. Boxing Rel on Instagram, for those of y'all who don't know. He done helped coach Tevin Farmer. He got Quadera Albright. He's had his own son who's currently incarcerated, from what I understand, Rasheem Jefferson Jr., who beat Kid Austin in the amateurs. They call Rel the cheat code. You know what I mean? He's a phenomenal trainer with a tremendous work ethic. I could always bring Rel on the channel too, man. I gotta start, man. You know what? I gotta start really tapping into these interviews, man. I know so many people that's currently like doing big shit in boxing right now. Some tension in the building, because I feel like maybe Jesse Hart, I don't know if he feels a way. About Rel training Khalil Cole, or I don't know. There's definitely some testosterone in the room, though. He said G coaching Jesse. Who G? Oh, you talking about Greg Hackett? Oh yeah. He been coaching Jesse for a little while now. So, man, Philly versus Philly in terms of training. Then we got Jersey versus Philly. That's a good one, man. Because look, Jesse Hart, he gained. You know what I mean? And he's only lost to he lost to Gilberto Ramirez twice. He lost to Joe Smith. Both of these guys was champion. He only lost to them two. He's a bit older. You know what I mean? Not the most active, but at the same time, he's been doing Team Combat League, so he's keeping his tools sharp. You feel what I mean? Khalil Cole, he came off of a loss, but then he avenged the loss and dominating fashion. So, that's a good one, man. Yo, Jesse's dangerous. Jesse's very heavy-handed. He's tall. He's rangy. If Khalil Cole's not on his P's and Q's defensively, Jesse can hit him with some shit. But Khalil Cole, if he's able to just put on that great display of a jab like he did in his previous fight, Jesse could have some problems too. But Jesse is a very big person. I don't know if y'all ever met. Like I met Jesse a few times. Jesse's at least, I think they probably got him lit out. he got to be like every bit of 6'3", 6'4", very big, very powerful, devastating right hand. You know what I mean? But Jesse is a bit older. You know what I mean? He might not be who he was when he was younger, coming up on top rank. But he's still game. So man, Khalil Cole gets this dub against Jesse. That'll do wonders for his stock. But if Jesse beats Khalil Cole, now you're talking about a new contender at 175. And Jesse been cooking up on a big fight for a while. I remember he was rumored to fight Benavidez and shit like that. There was even like a little drama going on between Jesse Hart and Atiho Burlington. But he got the Khalil Cole fight. Let's see how he do. I just don't know where Jesse's at right now. Like I seen what Khalil Cole's capable of doing. I see what he has problems with. But I don't know where Jesse is at this point in his career. And it's hard to gauge through Team Combat League because they only doing 1 minute. I mean, they only doing one round. So it's really hard to tell where somebody's at in their career when they're only boxing 1 to 2 rounds in a competition that's like team based. Like I don't know. You feel what I mean? And Jesse hasn't really been fighting anybody notable to give me any reassurance that he'll beat Khalil. But he's only lost to top dogs. You feel what I mean? He got 3 losses, but only lost to 2 people. He said Khalil Cole jab for the win. Yeah, man. But look at this though. Jesse Hart 6'3" with a 6'5.5" reach. But he's been running up them he's been running up those wins on Team Combat League, that's for sure. His record on Team Combat League is 24-4. And all his losses look like they was splits, like split decisions. But anyways, all right, y'all. I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody that's coming through and showing love. You feel what I mean? If we could get the hit, if you could hit the like button on the way out, that'd be very much appreciated. You see what I mean? We on the road to 4K. We well into the 3,100 mark. About to hit that 3,200 mark in due time. If you do, you said Cole is tall as well. He's not that tall. But for some reason, let me see something. Oh, never mind. I was about to say his fight not even posted on. Khalil Cole's not that tall, believe it or not. He's actually not much taller than me. He got to be like 5'9". When I met him, we was basically the same height. I didn't really see anything that made me think he was taller than me. So when you're talking about somebody who 5'9" and 6'3", that's a 6-inch difference? That's pretty significant. You know what I mean? But if you got the tools to neutralize that, then it's not so significant. You feel what I mean? But we'll see. We on the road to 4K. We went into the 3,100 mark. About to hit that 3,200 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. I'll be back on live 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to continue cooking up on what's going on in the boxing world tomorrow. Until then, I hope y'all have a blessed, beautiful one. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.